live streaming tech is ready. The mic and the studio are set. Is the audience here yet? They better be. It's a show they will never forget. Hearts are racing. This is the moment, the one we've been waiting to find. Be seen, be heard, be remembered.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Your Voice, Your Vision, Your Stage. I am your host, Americo Da Costa, coach and producer of live streams and on-demand digital experiences. I have a special guest today. Cristina Segato will be joining me on stage in just a few moments. I wanted to take an opportunity to welcome Cristina. Welcome to Toronto, Cristina. We were just backstage talking about the weather. Things are still warm here in Toronto, close to 80, just above 80, but things will start to cool down. Why don't we bring you up on stage and have you introduce yourself? Give me 1 second here. Oh, that is me. And now let's bring Cristina.
Hello,
Welcome.
happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining. It is going to be a fantastic conversation. I am so looking forward to what we have to share with our communities. Why don't you kick us off with a quick introduction? Let the community know who you are and what you're up to.
Okay, well, I'm a business coach. And when I say I'm a business coach, I literally help people going from idea to monetization. So if you have an idea, if you have a business you can not quit thinking about, maybe you've been talking to a lot of people and they say, yeah, but it requires a lot of funds to get it started. Well, it's wrong. You can get started fairly easily as long as you have the grit to keep going. And that's what I help people do. I help them with visibility. I help them with, outlining a roadmap, all the steps that are necessary to get to where you're going.
Fantastic. So we're going to dive into this conversation and take that just a little deeper. But before we do that, I want to take a moment to welcome our guests, our listeners, people in the audience who are joining us as the show has kicked off. Please, if you have questions that you want addressed, asked, looking for answers, drop them in the comments, and we would be more than happy to have your questions and your comments looked at. So we have a few people joining us in. Let's welcome Joshua Lee. Thanks for joining. We have Valentin. Thank you. Thanks for the compliments on the intro. Sean. Good evening, Americo and Cristina. Thanks for joining. And our friend who we all appreciate, Meryl Cass, who is a great connector of so many events and so many people. I am excited to get us started. All right. Why don't we do just that? Cristina, I was reading your bio and your journey, antique book dealer. I had no idea. So antique book dealer, and you moved and transitioned into e-commerce manager. That I know because you shared that with me, to now a branding mentor. This is fascinating stuff. What inspired you along the way? Share a little bit of your story with us before we get started.
All right. Well, I became a book dealer because I was in love with something I didn't get to do. So I went to university, had to be an academic. I wanted to teach English and American Lit. And life had other plans for me. So I ended up moving around, left Italy, lived in England for a while, then in the States. And every time I was looking for ways to earn a living, looking for jobs, I was drawn either to bookstores or to sourcing books. I couldn't quit buying books, so naturally I developed an interest in it. And I realized that I had a sixth sense for what was valuable, what would sell, whether it was really antique or not, or the value was in the content itself. I just I would have a joke with friends. It's like if I'm touching it, it's worth something, right? So that's how it started, and I ended up being really good at it. And again, I started with zero money, from my living room to a storage unit. And then at one point, I even had a bookstore, which is when everything changed for me because, again, I made the mistake that we make on LinkedIn here when we get started, right? Uh, you are in the wrong place, you are miscategorized. People that are following you, you're in the wrong place. You don't have the foot traffic. Same thing up with the bookstore. I didn't even have the foot traffic. So I didn't close it. I just closed the door with myself in it. And that's when I started going online. From there, actually, that's when my interest in communicating online with people developed. So I realized quickly that it was about a book, yes, but it was a lot about people interested in the books. So, I started forums, conversations, and from that, I actually became somebody that sold books to theaters because I had lots of connections that work in the theater and wanted props. And naturally, I developed e-commerce skills doing all this stuff online. And back in the US, that's where my career started. You know, I worked as an e-commerce specialist, and naturally, I enjoyed it a lot. So I kept getting promoted and grew, but it became also my prison and my trap, because I forgot all about all the other things that I wanted to do. And 4 years ago, I had this thing, something was nagging at me that I had to express myself. I didn't know, but I just needed to create. And so I started sharing on LinkedIn. I also quit work, kept working on the side. I've been doing print on demand since 2011, but I didn't tell anybody. I just, created my images, posted them, selling great, right? Everything opened up. I found a lot of like-minded people. I found the community, really fell into praise, and I realized that it starts with you. It starts with what you want to express, with your story, with your brand, and everything that you've done in life. It connects. So there is a reason why you were doing those other things in the course of your life, and they're not. It's not a waste of time. You can repurpose it all, just like you can repurpose content, and everything that you've done can become a way that you connect with others.
That is amazing. I'm going to take a step back. You touched on your, I'm going to call it the aha moment of LinkedIn, where you realized you were misaligned in front of the wrong community. How often does that happen? I could tell you it. I think most of us with good intentions want to be all things to all people, and we kind of scatter our content, scatter our personal brands and our personas, that we're doing more harm than good by trying to be everywhere and be everything to everyone. So this is great because it kind of leads into my next question. What was the defining moment for you when you realized that your story could help others build their own brands?
Yes, it actually happened outside of LinkedIn. I had been on LinkedIn for a while, listening to audio rooms, and beginning to literally post-it notes. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I realized there was somebody there, and so I was sharing. And because I was always listening to all this information, I was flooded with information from audio rooms and lots of other people building things. I was at work, and we were looking to modify my role, and I had an opportunity to actually carve and create my role. And I proposed that I taught a class about monetizing using marketplaces, which I was really familiar with, on Poshmark, on eBay, but also monetizing on LinkedIn. So the two things just happened at the same time. I had students that, they had so many dreams. They had so many ideas, and they didn't know what steps to take next. And I realized that when somebody was talking to me and, expressed what they wanted to build, I just could see how, for some reason. I was, something that which became really natural to me. I could see how I helped them with their research. Couldn't, I could see more. I could see more for other people than I could see it for myself. It just
Isn't it
always happens that
fascinating
way.
how that
And
works? So we can see the
yeah,
forest through the trees for others, and sometimes we can't see it for ourselves.
exactly. And then it was. It's always for me. It's always been reverse engineering. I'm doing something, and all of a sudden, wait a second, it becomes something else if I choose to dial it back, right? And that's really how it happened. So I was teaching this class. I called it selling online, and I taught it for a couple of years. My company, and it completely naturally evolved and merged into what I was doing on LinkedIn. So it was from some selling physical product and print on demand product. Now it became selling your services using LinkedIn, using any social media platform that was applicable to your brand. Because one thing I realized real quick is that, for me and for you, for our brand, LinkedIn is the place, but it might not be the right place for somebody else and what they're working on. So you really have to find out where your people are hanging out, because the niche is not just your niche, it's also their niche. So for the two niches to connect, your personal one, it's like your personal one, and where these people are actually living, you have to find those connectors points, and you have to be at the right place, in the
That
right
is true.
place.
These platforms aren't all things to all people. I had shared with you before we went live the 3 social media platforms that I've disconnected and removed myself from because my community wasn't there, or if it was,
Hmm.
I wasn't showing up where they were at. So it became a very time consuming investment. And I've shifted that time and doubled down on LinkedIn and now Substack. Find it fascinating how, even though or despite my niche being live streaming and helping build strategies around live streaming, people enjoy reading about live streaming. And Substack is a great place for those who consume our content through writing, but it's so versatile that it allows us to drop not only the blogs but to attach additional assets. You can have a podcast or a video embedded and be at all places in all formats for that community. So it is fascinating, and probably you're. Let's jump into the next question. I had put it up already because you were talking about it. The brand from within. Is this where it started?
Exactly. That's where it started. When you know, a lot of people think, okay, I want to do a business. I want to do an e-commerce business, and they think all about. They start thinking about the logistics and all the external things that I'm going to be needing. I'm going to need a website. I'm going to need a logo, and I'm going to need space where I can go and actually work at, because it's the nine to
Mm-hmm.
five mentality. So you think you need all these things, but then there is a disconnect. So the most powerful thing that you can do to start a brand is really look within, look at all the things that have touched you in life, and what stayed. If we really look within, we see patterns. We see, here I am, right? 30, 28 years later, still talking about books, still, connecting and speaking in metaphors, right? That's something that stayed since my youth. So when you see those things, you have to pay attention. You have to stop for a second and see, can I apply it to what I'm building? Can I make it part of my brand? Or is this my brand? Or maybe I'm building something that is completely not going to work because I'm just doing it because I think that's a business. And I don't believe enough in myself to think I actually have a brand, a business, and enough experience that I can monetize what I have to share with
Amazing.
others.
So Keith is asking the question, where is your ideal client niche?
Well, my ideal client niche. My ideal client is a little bit scrappy and crafty. So, like myself, right? That you say, it's somebody that I can see myself with a lot. Uh, and they have so many skills and so many ideas that they're just frozen. I say it's my ideal client not because I think I'm going to become a millionaire out of helping them, right? But it's because it's what satisfies me more as a coach, to see somebody that has so much potential and so many skills that are just sitting there, and they know they're good because they'll be there and they look at other people doing what they could be doing or they like but they're not doing, and they'll usually criticize it or complain about it, or and get a little bit upset looking at it. But it just being able to for them to stop and having the clarity moment, and realizing that all they have to do is to take those little steps, to put their brand together, to actually share it with others, because these people usually don't tell anyone. They'll be solitary people in the art studio, and they'll create magic for years, but they don't share it. So they could be amazing graphic designers, and nobody
and
knows
that's
about them.
typically, we all point to imposter syndrome. People talk about manifesting ideas and have great archived resources that they've created, equity that they've built up, and assets that they've built up, and they just don't do it. And here you are, Cristina, and you touched on it. You help provide clarity. And I think that is important. So it's safe to say, or is it safe for me to suggest? I'm not going to say it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. But is it safe to say that you support professionals who need help figuring out their why and bringing clarity to?
Yes, as a matter of fact. Mhm.
Yeah, and bringing the
Go ahead.
clarity around and building a strategy around the why.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I consider myself, and my clients have called me that, a little bit an hybrid between business coach and life coach. Because for me, the two things, they go, they go together. Uh, the way that my creativity does not allow me to see the one without the other. So that's why I came up with Brand from Within, because I really believe that if you want to find a way to sustain your life or yourself and your life doing something that you do enjoy, uh, you know, you really don't
That's
have to
right.
look very
And
far.
Keith, you said it, and Keith wrote it down and shared in the comments. You're repurposing your life. So you're bringing, what you learned in corporate culture and what you learned in life. And a lot of people forget that life lessons are just as good, if not better, in many cases, to help us get back on our feet, get back in the right lane, because we learn from our mistakes, and most of those mistakes happen in life, right? So,
Hmm.
all right, we have another comment here. Um, can you please stop calling it imposter syndrome? All right, it's human to have imposter thoughts, not a syndrome. I'm on a mission to stop. All right, Sean, duly noted. We will no longer refer to it as a syndrome. And, I had the opportunity to share the stage with Sean yesterday, and he too hosts some fantastic events. And I think we may have just figured out our speaking agenda when you share the stage with us. Let's bring this and redefine it and reshape it so that it is no longer categorized or have that syndrome and stigma of being a syndrome. Love it. Thank you. All right. So now Keith continues to ask questions. What is your why?
Well, I found myself at many points in my lives trying to figure it out who I was gonna be without my initial dream. So that caused me a lot of pain because I really was super passionate about it, and I still am. And I thought, if I cannot teach, if I cannot share all about, the connection that I have to this amazing works of literature with others and motivate students like that, it felt a little dry. And instead, I realized that it wasn't about necessarily the subject matter. It was about teaching, and it was about coaching. As a matter of fact, I took up a little gig. One of my clients, it's a school, and I'm teaching entrepreneurship every Friday now until spring, right? And that and when I did the class through my company, that gives me immense pleasure. So I was fortunate enough that at some point when I was really young, somebody got something out of me. I categorized it into, what I was studying at the time, books, what I was passionate about. But in reality, is realizing that there is so much more to us, and there is not just one why. There is so much more to us that we need to express. So I really believe in expressing all of myself always, and I know that there is so many people out there, and I see it with my students all the time. They're just muting themselves, right? They're keeping it all in, and they're just missing out on life in general. Because I think that when you bring your purpose and what you really want to do out and express it, it just produces happiness. And speaking about imposter syndrome, right? All these negative beliefs. I don't call it imposter syndrome either, by the way. So Michael, I don't call it imposter. I call it poison. So, and I call all those negative things that happen into to life, right? It's poison. But I like to my purpose, based on my why, is turning that poison into medicine. You can take anything bad that happens to you, and you can turn it around. You learn from it, and you can share it with other. You make the mistake, and you know why you made the mistake, and you can help others avoiding that mistake.
Fantastic. We got some great questions. I'm going to park the questions because I think they'll fill in and fall into place. And I'm referring to the audience questions here. So the brand you talk about, and you coined the brand of you. How do you help? And you talk about how you're teaching in a school right now, entrepreneurship. But along with that, whether it's at the school or with other clients, how do you help someone uncover and own their unique voice in a crowded digital space? Hey, we're all here trying to compete for, digital smiles and digital likes. And how do people compete in such a crowded space?
The thing, people try to compete with that are not their own. So they think that they have to get a brand together out of graphics and tools and websites and pre-made content because they see that's what somebody else is doing. So unfortunately, one of the rookie mistakes is looking at what somebody's doing. Okay, you you like what they're doing, but copying it is not going to get you anywhere, even if you think it's a perfect formula. Because when it comes to actually interacting with people, when it comes to going on a live or creating content daily, every day, then you run out of juice because that was not this brand that you have doesn't match you and your personality at all.
Because
So
you're chasing all the shiny objects and all the
exactly, you're
trends, right?
chasing all the things that you think are going to be working, and in reality, the main ingredient is missing. So the polished present that you see somebody having, you don't realize that the person probably built it over 5-10 years, and now that's the finished product that belongs to them, and it really represents them. So the brand of you starts with you saying hello, right? This is who I am. This is what I'm envisioning. This is what I would like to build. And I don't have a clue. So I'm learning as I go. It can start just that way, right? And before you know it, if you take steps daily, then it morphs into something. What I'm doing today is not what I began doing on LinkedIn 3.5 years ago. It's similar, but it looks very different. I had to get there. I had to get there by showing up, by speaking at events. I learned from my audience. What I learned from my audience is what they were enjoying about me. And actually, my audience helped me bringing it out.
Hey, and let's not forget, if we go down memory lane, I was part of that audience at one point. Where
Oh,
you
yes.
where you inspired me along with others, but you played an influential part when you hosted the LinkedIn rooms. And I'm not sure if you were in Clubhouse or other places, but I met you and your thought leadership in one of your rooms. So I'm glad that that happened. I'm glad that you and I got to connect. I respect you and what you're building here. So
Thank you.
kudos to you. Keith likes turn the poison into medicine. He likes that.
It's a Buddhist concept.
And I believe he is also Buddhist. So I don't want to quote him on that, but he recognizes something there. All right, I'm just going to jump here into some of the comments. Don't catch comparisonitis, right? And that's what we do. We follow a lot of the top voices who are saying, do all these things and watch your impressions climb, watch this happen and do it in this order and you will 10 times whatever. And then the algorithm has a different idea. LinkedIn decides, we're going to try to clean up. We're hearing a lot of rumbling, a lot of noise with a lot of activity. We're going to try to clean it up. And now the sentiment is quite the opposite. Oh my goodness, I'm getting no views, no impressions, no engagement. Like if you did it right from the beginning and were consistent, showing up in front of the right audience, then you wouldn't have felt the significant drop that some people are experiencing. I could tell you, I had nothing in comparison to others who had hundreds of thousands of impressions. But every time, and I remind myself and I remind people who are listening, every time I take a pile of impressions to the bank, they laugh at me because I can't pay my bills with impressions. So
Exactly.
yeah. So if you're chasing that comparison and you're chasing those trends, and then you're going to be disappointed, save your time, save your money, save your energy. And if you can't find the clarity and need help figuring out your why, there's professionals like Cristina and others like Cristina who want to be helped, who want to help. And my phrase, want to help be seen, be heard, and be remembered. Right. So this is a great conversation. Keep the questions coming, folks, and I will park the questions that I came up with myself for Cristina. I'm enjoying this. We're multi-streaming on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. We will then repurpose this content for those in the Substack community who will be able to read the blog and the summary and the lessons learned from today's conversation. Now, what does finding your voice really mean, though? We talk about this comparison, and we have a tendency, because it's the path of least resistance. It's easier just to do what everyone else is doing because it seems to work for everyone else. And the funny thing that we don't see on social media, everyone tells you, and I think we talked about this yesterday on Keith's show, everyone tells you all the things that to do and all the things that are working, but no one tells you how many times they fell on their face, how many times they failed. And what's on the surface seems like an overnight success. Oh my goodness, how did Cristina just become this overnight success? I went from not seeing her to not stopping her from showing up on my feed. I want to be like Cristina. But people forget that it took years for Cristina to get where she is today. Right?
It took a little bit.
So let's, maybe I'm exaggerating when I say years, but so the question is really finding your voice. What does it really mean today for business owners? For me, finding my voice was learning to shut up in other places that I had no business being in. So I've shut down and removed myself from some platforms. I'm now, and I do this exercise every year, I declutter my community. I remove and unfollow and disconnect members who perhaps no longer align, because as I'm adapting and adopting to my brand, and my community is shifting and adapting to who I've become today, it's also important for us to remove the bottleneck to make sure that we're showing up where we're relevant. And I know you've done multiple exercises and maybe not exercise, I'm referring to the audio rooms. You used to talk a lot about personas. You used to talk a lot about optimizing your digital presence on LinkedIn. And what I find, a lot of people have difficult time or perhaps just don't think about it. But part of optimization for me is decluttering. And people think I'm crazy, but if I told you since September 1st, I've already removed about 500, a combination of unfollowing and removing 500 community members. People have told me, it's like, what are you doing? You're hurting yourself. It's like, no, I am refining myself. I am removing the bottleneck. I want to show up where I'm relevant, where my community is. And if people aren't there, I don't want those people and those members to be the 2 to 5% that LinkedIn decides to push my content to, get zero engagement, and then it just dies there. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. This is your stage, and we're
No, that's actually good that you said all this, because it's about refining the community you're building. LinkedIn is not this. LinkedIn is a platform, right? But it's not this abstract thing. I'm on LinkedIn, and you are somewhere. You might be on LinkedIn and you are nowhere. In other words, you can be screaming about your brand, shouting it, and nobody's listening. But that's not necessarily LinkedIn's fault. I mean, LinkedIn is conducting their business. They are changing their algorithms because they're strategizing their own brand, right? Now, you, as somebody that wants to make it online, the first thing that you have to do is find your community. So say you are brand new, you have 10 followers. Great, you are at a great point. It's better than if you start and you have 750 followers that you don't want, right? You have 10 followers. The first thing you need to do is, okay, I think I want to build this type of business, right? I think I want to be in this type of niche. these are the people that I admire normally, the people that inspire me. And then you basically go on LinkedIn and find similar people using those keywords. So I would encourage anybody that is starting out to just go on the search and type those keywords that represent what it is that they want to build or the industry they want to be in. And now, if you have premium, you can do a lot with filterings. You can filter by people, you can filter by posts, and what happens is that you begin funding the content and the people that where you want to build is aligned with. So those are the people that you want to connect with, not just for the sake of clicking, but actually to start a conversation, to learn from them. You can learn from them by asking them questions or by just observing what they're doing and to see if it's aligned. And then there is this thing on LinkedIn that everybody hates, and a lot of people, especially big influencers, have been saying that the most useless thing on LinkedIn, and they're called groups. Now, unfortunately, I'm connected to more groups that I want to be connected to, but there is a reason for it. I use them as filters because groups have been around for a long time and they're still here. Probably eventually they will be removed, but right now they're still here. What all those people that have created all those groups have done, they have categorized LinkedIn by industries, by group, by topics, by keywords. So if you're starting out or you're looking to grow your network, so do your search and select groups and go to those ones that are active and that have hundreds of thousands of followers, and connect with the people that are posting there now, because you have to do less filtering work, less search work. So right then and there, it's a tip to really find your not find your voice. Is not your voice. Your voice is here because you speak, because you're supposed to reach somebody, right? Otherwise, there is no sense in talking or singing for yourself. So the best thing that you can do is to speak where there is an interest. Connect where there is an interest. And your tip was spot on. Keep cleaning that feed. Make sure that it is aligned with what you're doing. Of course, you'll go to lives and you'll meet people that are doing different things, but those people are active, they are aligned, they're listening to the same events you're listening to. Even if they are in a different profession, it does not mean that there is zero alignment. Actually connecting with them, it's good for you because they're active in the community, they're liking, they're posting, and you never know, they might just be connected to Americo, and there you go. And the person is some mechanical engineer, and you think this has nothing to do with what I want to be doing, right? But you have to look for people that are active, people that are engaging, and if you have trouble navigating all these, all these people, you can use something like a feature on LinkedIn, like filtering, and that will get you there faster.
All right, we have a great question, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this because we all suffer from this from time to time, and some of us daily, some of us even multiple times daily. How do you connect with people wisely without pitch slapping? Every
Yeah.
morning, I wake up to someone who wants to connect, and 30 seconds later wants to optimize my YouTube channel. Right?
Well, you have to be able to differentiate. Of course, a lot of us are here to conduct business, but it's not the first thing you should tell somebody, right? Especially if you never had any interaction with this person, if you've never spoken to them, to send random cold DMs. It's a shot in the dark. It's just like your voice in the void. Some people swear by them and talk about lead generation, and they have these magical systems. But what the magical systems basically are is, automatic emails in thousands going to random people. For every 200 DMs, there is a 3% response rate. And out of these three messages, one of them could be leave me alone. So so that's not even 3%, right? So that 1% of the G could be leave me alone. So it's it's engaging. It's being in the right now was working really well. It's being in the comments, finding the content that you enjoy to read, those topics where you can have a say and have that say there in public for other people to see. If what you say connects with somebody, it is relevant. You don't have to do any cold pitching. Somebody will actually say, "Actually, could use some help." You know, they would they're going to end up contacting you. Uh, it's also good though to do some outreach, but you have to know who you're supposed to contact, right? So for example, if you go to a live and there are people that have been attending your lives for the last 3 months and always interact and always make comments on your posts, and sometimes they ask you questions in the DMs, there might be an opportunity to ask this person, what are you working on? And from there in the DMs, that's where the business might happen. And you go, you get in a conversation, and then you'll find out whether this person is ready to work with you or has even a remote interest in working with you. And then you go from there. You just never, this is not eBay, right? You don't put your face there for sale, bid on me. Uh, so that's not how it works. This is basic communication, making friends, helping, supporting, and showing people what you do best. And the business will come.
It will.
You
Absolutely. And here's a great reminder. We got some great comments coming in, and I'm going to have to catch up with the comments. Speak where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated. And comments are being rewarded. So our thought leadership in the comments is being rewarded by LinkedIn, and creators, I'm sure, appreciate the engagement that people contributing to their posts, because it aligns, it resonates. We also have Sharon sharing. She agrees. Groups are useful to discover like-minded individuals. She goes on to also agree, developing rapport has become a lost art. It's because we're in this digital era, in this digital vacuum, where our attention spans have diminished to close to nothing. You hear the word doom scrolling, and the average attention span is now like 1.7 seconds. The last time I read it. And one of the reasons why I leaned into live streaming as a strategy, because even if you get an average 5 minutes of listening time or watch time, your 5 minutes is gold when compared to the 1.7 seconds someone just scrolling through. Magic is in the comments. And Sharon views LinkedIn as a playground where the cool and smart kids play.
Yes.
All right. We need a badge for that. Cool and smart. That is great. Okay. This has been fantastic. Keep the comments coming, folks. It is always great to get participation and engagement from those listening in. And while we wait for more questions to come in, I have something I want to ask. And it's really around mistakes. Listen, we're going to make mistakes. We're human. But what's one of the common mistakes people make when trying to monetize their expertise, in your opinion?
Number one, they go get a website.
Getting a website is the number one mistake that you find?
Yes. That's the first thing they do. Before they even have the product, before, they even have an idea of who their ideal customer is going to be, they go and get a website, they pay for a web developer, they get a fancy logo, with a beautiful pineapple, and then in one letter they realize that they hate pineapple and they want to change completely the name of their business and everything else. So they go all in, not having a clear idea of what their brand is going to be and what it is about them that attracts people. So my website is very ugly. Yours is kind of beautiful. I saw it, and it's very simple for a reason. I really didn't put too much time into it because I decided to really fine tune my brand first, and I decided to use LinkedIn and other social media as my main playground, right? It doesn't mean that I'm not collecting emails and I don't have an email list and I don't have other ways to promote myself outside of LinkedIn. It's just that I did not have a clue of what I wanted my website to say 2 years ago. I just had zero clue. I just got a domain with my name because I knew one thing I know, I am my brand. So
Yeah.
so that, and so little by little I'm putting a few things there. But the thing is, why is a big mistake, right? There's no traffic there. It's not gonna be how you make your money. It's like same thing as the followers, right? You cannot take it to the bank. Your website is not the money vault that is gonna bring you cash. It's not where you're gonna be building the relationships. You're going to be building a relationship by actually talking to people and communicating, going on calls, and just in those comments, in those DMs. So that's a big mistake. I think that's a huge mistake, especially if you go and get one of those fancy ones from the get-go, from day one, with the metaverse and .io and all that, when you don't even know how it works. So first you have to learn the ropes. Then when you have a clear idea, you can expand into a website.
All right. So I will be the first to come out publicly and say that a website was one of the first things I got.
Of course, of course.
Of course. And listen, I'll share the reason why I started, or the website was one of the first things, because the one thing that I learned that people were saying is that, LinkedIn and all these social media platforms, this is rented space. You want to start
Yes.
building a space in a domain that is proprietary to you. Now,
Yes.
if you saw my website 2 years ago, you're absolutely right. The logo did change. The name didn't. There were no pineapples, but it was one hot mess, right? And similar to my personal brand, it kind of developed as I went along. But keeping it simple. I thought at one point, you build a website, you front load it with a lot of resources, a lot of information, so that people can. This was my idea. I was going to differentiate myself by front loading all the information into my website. Well, guess what happens when people are saying, you got to keep it simple. It doesn't have to be overproduced, doesn't have to be polished. Keep it simple. It's like, no, I'm going to step outside and make it complicated. I'm saying this because it's myself, but that's exactly what I did. I had 0 visits, or the people that visited stuck around for seconds. It's like, oh, wow, this is too clunky. This is too busy, too much information. I don't have time for this. And they'd bail. But that's part of my narrative and part of my story. And I would advocate similar to you. It's like, hey, buy the domain so that you're protecting the domain, but don't go spending money in developing and building it. It's backwards, right?
Mm.
Get it, great, park it so nobody steals your name, and then build it as you go along. So
The other thing is that, by the way, I also learned that by making a mistake years ago. The reason why I knew that is because when I was a book dealer, I also, I was selling my books mostly on eBay, but I thought I should have a website, and I called it Westland Books. And, because I like the Westland in Eliot and all this stuff. Again, completely disconnected to the fact that I was looking for people to buy the books, right? And of course, I listed a few books in there. It took me 2 days to realize there's nobody here. So I just left it there, and I used a marketplace. I used eBay. So if you compare eBay and LinkedIn, same thing. You want to go where people are. So, and you should have everybody. So when if you feel that you want a presence and you want a place where people can find out more about you, and they don't just get your things out of posts, right? Although you can organize your LinkedIn page really well to for people to get an idea of what you're doing, you can get a landing page to start with, and you can get one for free. You can
Yeah. So
you can use Kit, you can use other resources, so you can have one of those for free, or you can make a very simple website that is simply a business card and a landing page.
yeah, so that's what Sean does. He doesn't have a website, but he has 3 different landing pages, and those can become lead magnets. People go to those landing pages, and they don't have to go through all your entire website. And Keith is adding, go to where people are, and some people are even suggesting that with the way AI is moving and the way search is evolving, that websites are slowly starting to diminish in popularity. So I can see that happening as time progresses. I continue to use it because I don't want to wake up one morning and learn that LinkedIn has decided that I am no longer a part of their community. And where do I go from there? So it's a small investment, but I totally agree. Don't front load it. Don't put all the money and resources into something that you're still at the ground level on, because you're going to waste your time, you're going to waste your resources, and more importantly, you're going to waste a lot of money. Question, is anyone using Whatnot? I'll be honest with you, never heard of it. Love to hear more. Drop a link, share some details. I'm always curious to learn and research new tools, new platforms. I have not heard of Whatnot. All right. A lot of great comments again. And if I haven't got to all the comments, rest assured I will circle back and engage with them after the show is over. Cristina, this has been a fantastic conversation. We're almost at the top of the hour. I want to respect your time. Not sure if you can stick around a little longer. If there are people in the audience who are open to coming on stage to ask your question, I'm more than happy to bring anyone up who may have a question for Cristina. To send me a DM if we're connected. If we're not, then send me a connection request, and I'll drop the studio link. Well, we'll bring you up audio only so that you can ask your question, then return back to backstage. Okay. Let me queue up the next one as we move along here. Let's talk a little bit about confidence. Confidence is a big theme and a big part of what you do. What advice do you give someone who's afraid? There's someone who's afraid to show up online, or afraid that their story just isn't big enough. Like, I think we've all been there to some degree.
Find a community, find a live event, start listening, and start commenting in the chats, right? Start having the conversation and connecting with those people that they were listening to the same things you were listening to. And at one point, if the host allows, raise your hand and start sharing. Doesn't matter if you forget your words, if you if you forget what you wanted to ask, if it sounds silly, just start. The first time it might feel really awkward, and then it's just like riding a bicycle, right? You'll get used to it, and confidence will build. Also, start sharing your idea and thoughts in a post. It only takes one like to feel good, like, oh, this person agreed, right? And then start a conversation with this person. If you're not connected, connect. If you are connected, thank them. Ask them, thank you for liking it. What did you like? Right? And if they don't respond, move on. It's okay. Do this as a daily practice, and your confidence will build. Stay away from terrible people that make you feel lousy, and notice how they're putting you down, especially if you're at work, what it is that they're always criticizing about you, because it may actually be something that they want, that they don't have. And that's why they have so many things to say about it. So, and, the reason why I center most of my brand about claiming and claim your space, it actually started, it was my journal. I was trying to make notes on what I was supposed to be doing to be visible. And I realized that I was not doing the most important thing. That's what it was at the very beginning. I need to show up. There are so many people on the internet that are claiming space every day with a comment, with a post, with a live, with a newsletter, posting a picture, being silly, showing themselves with a cup of coffee in the morning and say, I need more. So what they're doing, they're occupying real estate, right? And how are you going to get visible if you're not occupying that real estate? If you heard all this crazy stuff about the LinkedIn algorithm, posting is not good anymore. So, okay, nobody's looking at your post. What are you afraid of, right? Post it, because nobody's looking anyway. But the reality is that it's there. And actually, ChatGPT and Google, they're crawling this content out of posts and
That's
out of
right.
newsletters. So, and if it is useful, if it teaches somebody something, if it's something that people can apply and learn from, LinkedIn is starting to put the content in front of other silly content, and it's being indexed by Google. And the biggest news thing I'm saying, you talked about Substack, but LinkedIn has and newsletter capabilities, and I think people are misusing it. I mean, it sends
It
emails for you when you
and it's
publish a newsletter, so you don't have to
it's
fight with the
fascinating you
algorithm.
say that, and you can actually look at the analytics, and it'll tell you how many emails were sent out. So you could have, a couple thousand subscribers to your newsletter, and LinkedIn will send an email, not to everyone, because they don't want you to be spammy. They will, by design, send it out to who they believe is relevant, so that they're looking at your content, your newsletter, and pushing it out to community members that align with the message. So that is definitely something to look out for. And
One third of those are not connected to
pardon me?
you. So most of those people that the emails are pushed to
That's
are
right.
connected to you, but about a third, they're not connected to you. They're new
And that,
connections. And so you'll
yeah,
see
and
new
that's a
subscribers.
great opportunity that, to your point, people are missing out. I have, I know we're at the top of the hour and things are starting to heat up here. We have someone backstage waiting to get on. So let's bring our guest in. The phone is ringing. Who are we bringing up? Hello, who do we have?
Hello.
Hi.
Calling in from Melbourne, Australia.
This is
Can you
Keith
hear me?
Keller. We can hear you, Keith.
Don't you love it? It's a global community, isn't it?
It is a global community. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thanks for joining, and thanks for asking and bringing questions to the comments. Do you have something you'd like to share or ask Cristina?
Yeah, I was very fascinated by the comment, don't build a website too soon. I think this might be a guy thing, but, I think I built my website, before I knew anything about anything, because I wanted to tell people that I knew something. But what I'm really interested in is, can your brand, if you want to build a brand, can your brand have multiple segments? Like, I was a Twitter guy for a while. Now I'm a LinkedIn person. Now I'm a social audio person. Now I'm a podcast editor. Now I'm into AI songwriting. I mean, these are all elements of the life that I live. And are they separate landing pages, or is one the advantage I think of a website is you can have this central hub like home base, and you can have little offshoots. Maybe it's a bit complicated, but life is complicated. There's one of me, but I've got 5 hats that I wear. How do we differentiate between the different projects that we've got if we don't have one central hub? Do we have 5 hubs for it? Well, a hub for each project.
I think having a central hub, especially if you are at the point where you're at, it is important because you're telling each community where else they can find you. So, do you need a website for that? Probably not. A landing page will suffice, and you can put all your social media, all the places where you're active and people can find you. And or you can use something as simple as a link tree, where you just have a couple of things and all your your website, your Pinterest, your Twitter, everything in there. And even that, it's something that Google does index. So, but if you do already have a website, that could be your central hub. Well, what I was trying to uncover here is that uh, if you're starting out, it's day one, and you're figuring out how to spread your message, the website might not be the first thing on your
Yeah,
to-do list
totally
today,
agree.
at least. All right. Be-
I totally agree
Hmm?
that the whole paradigm has changed now. That we were told, America and I, we drink this Kool-Aid. We were told by the web designers on LinkedIn with those pretty pictures, you've got to have a website or you can't be seen. If Google doesn't know you exist, you don't exist. I think I actually heard that exact quote once at a webinar. If Google can't find you, you don't exist. So you have to have this website. And guess what? It's what I do. Isn't that lucky? I actually happen to be here, and I'm happy to help. Isn't that just so fortuitous that we met when really they're just flogging their services and you don't need them at all? So it's very fascinating that we get sucked into this. But the reason why Americo and I did drink the Kool-Aid is that we have all had an experience where the site we love tells us that we no longer are welcome. This has happened to me on LinkedIn, on Twitter when it was called Twitter. We've all been banned. I've been to Twitter jail. It's a thing. You're banned for 2 weeks because you post a picture that maybe they didn't like. I was banned on LinkedIn during a show for 4 days. I was in the middle of a show. There was 300 people on the show. I got banned in the middle of the show. So the question I have is, what is your backup plan? What's the best idea if you love a site but you don't want to rely on it? What do we do for a backup plan? This is a generic question for everyone. It's different, I guess. But how do you decide what your backup plan is?
Yeah. So I do have a backup plan. LinkedIn works. LinkedIn is my main landing page, right? I do have a basic website, but it's not my backup plan either. My backup plan is to stay connected with those people I meet on LinkedIn or other platforms. And what I use for that is I build an email list. So I use something very simple as a stay connected link for people to drop their email. There is a free one. It's called Jotform that you can use. You can put all your links there to your other social media. And, it's a simple form. People say their name, their email address, because they want to hear from you. And so once you're building that email list, though, and people are starting to sign up, uh, they want to, it means that they want to hear from you, and they want to hear from you outside on LinkedIn. So you got to produce something for them. It could be an email to stay in touch, either with your latest offers or what you're working on outside of the LinkedIn community, and you can deliver that in literally in PDF format if you have to, in the most basic way. Or you can use it periodically every couple of months. You can drop a freebie to those people that decided to stay connected with you outside of LinkedIn, and you can give them a quick guide, on how to achieve something. You can actually email them and say what is the biggest struggle that you're experiencing right now, regarding what you're working on, and they'll respond to you, and you'll make a mental note. At the beginning, it's doable, it's manageable, because you're slowly building your email list. When it becomes a big email list, you definitely created a big asset for yourself. You can use it to promote your services, to do course launches, book launches, you name it. But you have to curate. The moment you decide to build your own community outside of LinkedIn, simply by sharing a link where people can share their email, now that's a new platform you're building. As archaic as it might be, you have to be there, you have to be present, and you have to curate it.
And I guess Substack could be a variation of Jot form. Substack's one of the new ones. America and I.
Yes, it is. You can have your newsletter there, but Jotform is just if you want to collect the email and all that and do something outside of any other third parties, right? So you can do it that way. At least that's my plan. I'm still looking at Substack. I heard good things, but people are doing. They use a LinkedIn newsletter to promote their Substack newsletter.
Yeah. Well, what we could do, Americo and I are researching this very thoroughly. We could find a way to turn this LinkedIn event into a Substack post, and it's getting 2 lives for the price of 1. And then suddenly we're introducing Substack to our community. We're gradually doing that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. So I've shared with Cristina that this show will be repurposed. I will create a Substack blog and short form content that will be distributed both on LinkedIn as well as YouTube and Substack. But we have a very important message or question, not so much a message, but a question. So we have reached the other end of this globe. You're in Australia, and the question is, what time is it in Melbourne?
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. It's the future, isn't it?
It's so far away. Melbourne is so far away. It's tomorrow. It's actually 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. Can you believe it? Like, we are so far. We're at the other end of the globe. It takes 16 hours to get there from where you are.
No roosters are. It's 11 a.m. The roosters have come out. They've already, did their calls.
They've done their thing.
They've done their thing. So we'll put the roosters to rest. But inquiring minds wanted to know what time it was in Melbourne, and we're here to answer the public. We want to help others be seen, heard, and remembered. And remember, Sharon, where were you when you found out that you were hanging out with a host in Toronto, a guest in California, and a guest who called into the show in Melbourne, Australia, from the future, Doc Martin. Fantastic. All right. This is, are we good for time? Can we continue one more question? Keith, thanks for joining. Thanks for being part of the dialogue.
Yeah, no worries.
I have trying to keep up with the chat here. All right. Spotlight up, and there's Stan's Shawn Michaels ready to rewrite his own script. All right, I'm going to stop reading these verbatim. I'm just going to put them up as we're conversing. In the meantime, as we wrap up here, let's talk about if someone's listening today and feels that they're ready to invest and ready to find their new vision and put their vision to life, what's the first step they should take?
They should share it. They should share it here on LinkedIn, for example, or on their social media of choice. They should literally announce it, you know. And if you don't tell anybody, how is anybody gonna know?
Yeah, I totally
So
agree.
that's the first
That
thing.
is great advice. Don't worry. And you touched on this earlier. If you don't think anyone's reading it, just put it out anyway. You've already established that you don't think anyone's reading it. But for those who do read it and those who do align with what you're sharing, that's one thing I learned when I shifted my purpose here on LinkedIn. When I went from job seeker to business owner, I didn't realize the philanthropy and the giving that exists. You put something out, there is someone who's going to reach out to want to help you. If they see your vision and see that your vision has potential, you'd be surprised who will reach out. And not necessarily to pitch an idea for you to hire them, but to give genuine advice. I've had more free advice and support from LinkedIn community members that I've never met, I've never connected with, than close friends and family who, for whatever reason, they will tell you what you want to hear, but you know deep down inside, they're just helping feed your ego or soothe you through what might be some vulnerability. So I totally agree. That is great advice. Just put your message out there, and if it resonates with someone, sit back, listen to what they have to share and what they have to offer you.
And if I may, I have two things that I would like to share. One is I just made a poll about that. Who do who do you share your dreams with? So, if you guys want to follow the poll and vote, that could be interesting data. The other one is, I clearly remember just about the times that you spoke when we were doing the audio rooms. And at the time, you shared something about how you ended up starting your business, that, you were tired of
Yeah.
layoffs, right? And it stuck with me. I wasn't experiencing that at the time, but in the back of my head, it said, wow, I mean, I'm actually building my escape route and plan B here, because that's real. And a year ago, I thought I had a good job and I kind of enjoyed it. It was completely aligned with what I was doing. The company where I work merged with another similar company. I survived the layoffs, but 98% of everybody that was working there is gone. And they're still looking for work. So I resigned actually in August because I decided to do this full time. And what I want to tell people is, if you have an idea, start building, start weaving your safety net. Your experience, your life experience, things that you enjoy doing, your hobbies, things that you do really well at your jobs and you enjoy doing really well at your jobs, start sharing them and building them to another audience, right? Share them with the public, start building, because it takes time to build. And it might just be your safety net. It might just be what you end up doing with a smile when you see that everything is crumbling over there. And I'm not quite sure. I left with a big smile. So that's it. I'm ready. That's it. But you have to start building now, because nothing is, jobs, if they're aligned with who you are, great, right? But even when it's the perfect job that you think you're gonna do forever, you don't decide forever.
That's
You
right.
just never know.
The one thing I learned, and it's fascinating that stuck with you, that after 3 layoffs, so you just get frustrated and you feel like you have no value left to contribute to society, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. You can't take those decisions personally. Businesses will make decisions that are in their best interest to keep their ledgers in the black and their shareholders happy. So don't.
The shareholders, yeah, that's
It's
what
all
it is
about the
about.
shareholder value. And now,
So
be your
be
own
your own
shareholder.
shareholder.
Create your own destiny, and control that destiny. Listen, it has been a fantastic hour. I know that we can go on for hours and hours, but I want to be mindful and respectful of those who have stuck around and want to go on to do other things. Perhaps have lunch in the future, or tuck their kids or themselves to bed. Before we go, though, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm basically live and breathe mostly on LinkedIn. So if you send me a DM, it's probably the fastest way to reach out. There is also a website. You can reach out there if you feel more comfortable, and it's cristinasagato.com. But LinkedIn is my landing page. I post and write there basically daily. So, if something resonates,
All right,
reach
folks,
out.
for those who stuck around, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't connected, this is a great domain, a great place for us to connect, reach out, and meet someone that has been engaging in the comments. And you never know who you connect with and what doors they might be able to open. For myself, I enjoy live streaming. I want to thank everyone for sticking around. If you're curious about live streaming and how a live streaming strategy can work for you, I have a wait list for a cohort that I'm putting together where, it isn't about selling. And for me, I'm a social seller and storyteller. Those who are fascinated with the concept, sign up and join the conversation and see what this can do for you. For now, I'm going to shut down the room. Thank everyone for coming out, and have a great rest of your day, wherever it is that your day has taken you. If it's breakfast or lunch, enjoy that part of your day. If you're winding down, have a good night, and see you all tomorrow.